Michael Cass. This is Culture Confluence, where culture and art meet. I'm grateful to call this guest a friend of mine. I've known him for going on maybe 15 years. Recognize his struggles, revel in his successes, and as I said, grateful to call him a friend. My guest today, Wesley Mitchell.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's
testing.
good.
Oh,
yeah,
it's starting to move away from me.
Is it?
That's good. Now I'm tripping out.
Oh, here. Are you tripping? You don't trip anymore, man.
Yeah.
Are you going to play a few? Are you going to play a few notes from? Do you have a healing song?
Men's healing song. That's a good one. Yeah. Might as well. We're two men sitting here, and
I think so.
We can bring in the ancestors, and we can do the men's healing song. And I'll start it off a little different. I'll start it off with the rattle, and then just do a few verses. Usually, I do 4 verses, and then the 5th one without the drum. But if you want me to do the full version, I can. And
yeah, sure. Let's see whatever you're comfortable with, Wesley.
Yeah.
Because I'm recording,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So this is the men's healing song. It was created in the Anishinaabe Nation out of Ontario. It was actually created in a Kingston penitentiary by a bunch of inmates that got together after there was a riot in the women's side, and they made the Strong Woman song. They decided to follow up and balance it off with the men's healing song, and it's about protection and guidance and being safe and respecting yourself. And during these riots, the sisters weren't harmed at all, and they actually protected some of the guards that were in the penitentiary. So the men followed up and decided to balance it off and respect the guards. And this is the men's healing song, and it's very touching to me because I sang it for my Uncle Ron DeWitt when he was going through multiple myeloma cancer, and I sang it right on the coast in Sechelt, BC, because I was away working, and he listened to it every time before his treatments for cancer, and it's a very special song to me as well, and for my own healing journey too. way, hey, hey, oh, way, hey, way, hey, hey, oh, way, hey, oh, way, hey, way, hey, way, hey, hey, yo. All my relations.
That's amazing. Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you.
I have to introduce you now. I've known Wesley for 15 maybe 15.
Definitely
yeah,
15
at least
years.
15 years, and just amazing to watch. It took me a long time to reach a place, and I'm pretty sure you've reached that same space, is to see someone else's success and someone else's growth as an exciting thing. It used to be, if you were like anything like me, it used to be I was often bitter and resentful at other people's success and at other people's growth. But then we reached that point, eh? Yeah.
That common bond and neutrality and love for each other.
So I want to talk about how not only the drumming and the singing, you have an amazing voice, man. I never realized that.
Oh,
I never realized that. It's powerful.
Thank you very much, my brother.
So how did you get there? Like, how did your culture bring you to that place? To that place. I mean, we're still growing, but how did it get you to where you are today? That's what
Well, just the part of finding out your culture and when I started putting action and attention towards my Wet'suwet'en roots and just culture in general, and when I reached out to elders and started asking questions and there's so many different nations and so many different First Nations people that I had to reach out and find the ones that were willing to share their ways, their knowledge, like the knowledge keepers, and that was spread out throughout, northwest or northern British Columbia is where I had to find different, there's so many different protocols and so many different nations and ways of life that, the ones that caught my attention and caught my heart, I started to attract to and just ask questions. And then I had to stop, look, listen, and learn. And that's when it just felt good. It felt right. And I began to learn a new way of life, but a way of life that's embedded in my blood, right? So,
I've often heard an elder say, and Marcel Gagnon, he would say that the drum called to him, and we talked about this before, and for you it was the other way around, wasn't it? Or how did you? Yeah, like I can't remember. We talked about it, but similar, but not quite the same.
It can be similar. The drum
Yeah.
did call to me, and it came to me out of left field, right? Because it was 2015, and I've heard the drum previous, but it just didn't have that powerful heartbeat to it. But in 2015, when the Canada Games came to Prince George, and I was at Pignata doing a course there, and they needed volunteers for that whole Canada Games time frame there. So I volunteered, and the Clayton Tene Pavilion was I was a level 3 first aid attendant, and I said, yeah. They had these really cool jackets you got when you volunteered, right? So, just these little things that helped me on my way, and off I went to volunteer, and I drove for the city of Prince George, the athletes around. But at that pavilion, I saw the drummers. Every night I went there and volunteered, and I met a lot of the Clayton Tene Nation, and they were very open-hearted and open-minded, and invited me in, and when the drummers came on stage, it just, and then seeing the Kazakhstan drummers running around in the black and red, and just the spirit was high. And then Jennifer Piggin invited me on stage and handed me my very first drum was ended up to be gifted to me, and it was it was 4 wolves representing some of the early childhood School District 57 stuff. Artwork by Jennifer Piggin on it, and it's very special. That's the first drum that I got, right? And
You still have the drum?
actually, it ended up it got its use, and since then, Imani Miller from Nasdeo saw that it was, we tried to fix it, and we worked together on it, and it just wasn't able to be fixed, and she ended up putting it back on like a stretcher. You know how like you stretch hide?
Yeah.
So she took off the hide, and she put it flat, and her and a couple of her workmates there, they created this drum memorabilia for me with like birchwood willows around it, and it's like it's being restretched. It's back to its stretching.
Almost like a shield.
Yeah, like a shield.
Yeah.
So, and they gifted that to me at the hospital one night, and I was just, overwhelmed, right? So it's something I can hang up on my wall and remember, and it's genuine, and that was a living animal at one time, and that energy, it sacrificed its life and ended up helping me find my heartbeat again, right? And on the red road of recovery. So
In 2015.
Yeah.
Those jackets, they were nice jackets, but I just did not like the color. But it was some nice gear.
Yeah,
Nice
there was
gear,
red and the gray. Ended up with the red and the gray because the zippers weren't the
red
greatest
and
on
gray.
them.
Hold on a second. I thought it was green because we had as.
Oh, that's the City of Prince George jackets. I did get one of those too for driving.
Okay, yeah.
I remember that's actually, I drove a lot of the referees and all the athletes around. That was amazing. But I did get a green. I got like every jacket from that year, and I've even got the Claytley Tenay, the black or the gray one and the red one, and then the actual one they were selling at the pavilion was just gifted to me not even over a month ago by a friend that never wore them anymore, and non-Indigenous but very good friend, and my old boss at Waste Management, Scott Doby, gave them to me, and I'm very honored, right? So I have one of every jacket, but that City of Prince George green one, and actually that's the very first time I seen online Jennifer Piggin was wearing it and showing it, which it got me into the volunteering as well. It's kind of crazy how that happened. But anyways, I left it at my mom's house, and she gave it to she gave it to the, what do you call it? Not the Elizabeth, the
St. Vincent de Paul?
Yeah, St. Vincent de Paul.
Well, somebody has a warm jacket right now.
No,
somebody
for
has
sure.
and somebody needed it more than you did.
Yes,
eh?
definitely.
Yeah. What did I mean? Like all of these little things that and as human beings, I think some people get it more than others. Some people maybe understand it more than others. But there's all these little things, like these little happenings in our life, that direct us towards that moment, that larger moment in our life. For you, 2015, the Winter Games, but all the things that led up to that. You saw the jacket, you met Jennifer, somebody handed you a drum, and all these little things. Like, is it coincidence, you think, or is it? I think it's sort of.
It's good orderly direction. You betcha, brother.
I think there's a certain amount of fate and a certain amount of destiny to it. The opportunities, for people to grow, right? Yeah. I don't know about you, but for me, there was the universe's opportunities to grow, which sometimes are painful, right? Then there's my way of growing, which is like infinitely painful. And I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah, I have to do things a lot to actually get the lesson out of it sometimes, but that's just, the hard knocks of it, right? And I once I've learned my lessons or moved forwards with whatever needs to be put inside of me, and that's just the part of stopping and taking the deep breaths, and like you said, the motions were in play, like me going to Pignata and doing the course, and then that look, listen, and learn, and just stopping and making the right choice at the right time. So
you mentioned you were talking like the look, listen, and learn. You approached elders. You wanted to learn more. Did that thirst for knowledge and a reconnection to your roots? Did that come before the Winter Games or
no, that after? Was 2017, and the look, listen, and learn is from a Gitsan elder His name is Ray Harris, and he worked at still works at Wilpsasset House of Purification in Kitwanga, BC, and that was my second stint there, and I attracted to them the first time in 2013, but 2017 is I just remember walking into our healing circle in a beautiful little lodge in a shaman area in the Gitxsan territory of Kitwanga, BC, and when he sat down, he had something I wanted, right? He had that calmness, he had humor, he had knowledge, and when he looked at him, and Gary Patsy is another one that got my attention, and they're like, just, you need to slow down, Wes, because I was like, the Wile E. Coyote running all over, Animal with the drum when they gave me the drum, right? Just slow it down, Wes. Be in the moment, right? So look, listen, and learn has been a huge, and the past 2 years or 2.5 years, I've been really going hard, and the look, listen, and learn came back to me almost a week ago. There, it's like, slow down, Wes, again, and start just following your heart instead of that brain that
hair
can
straight
be,
back.
Yeah, that brain that can be an enemy at times, right?
Yeah,
so definitely.
Well, that's funny, because I was thinking, I'm like, wow, Wes does a lot.
Yeah.
All right, he's on the go. He's on the go, and I thought, I'm sure he knows well enough when to step back, and slow down, right? Yeah. And people will either understand or they won't. That's right. But then, so when I say you've done a lot, you've become, whether you want it or not, or whether and I can't see you seeking it out, you've become an ambassador, a goodwill ambassador for, I don't like a goodwill ambassador in the sense that you sort of bridge this gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that started probably before you even realized it, and then really sort of big time at the beginning of the pandemic. Am I right? Or were you were involved before then as well, but the pandemic really sort of
just, when the pandemic started, it was a ghost town and things were shut down. People were fearful. I just, had drummed at the hospital before and knew the parades were going on, so I started drumming there, and 47 days straight, you start having people showing up, wanting to drum or just to listen, and parked in their cars, and it was cold out, and at the very start, right, and the nurses were coming out, and it was about everybody. It wasn't about, we all have our own beliefs, we have our own cultures, but this was a pandemic where we didn't know what this virus was and what it was going to do to everybody, if it was going to wipe us out or if it was going to, we had no vaccines. So, stand with that drum, and those positive ripples were out there, and people, it's just helped comfort them, and other drummers came and started drumming, and then we got the smudging going, and, that's the Indigenous culture, and a lot of good medicine there, sacred medicine in some ways, but ones that I felt I could share, without hurting anybody's feelings. Yeah. And, everybody deserves to be part of our circle at UMBC. And I have a mother that's Dutch, and, I have the traumas of the residential schools, and I have the traumas of the war back in the day from each family line, right? So I want to respect those two, of course, within myself, and that honors myself. And then when I go out and meet new people, and without judgment, without anything, we keep our beliefs inside, and we just have a common bond of healing. Everybody needs to be at a healing point and healing journey, and if I can be part of that, I love it. Right?
I know my wife, she was working at the hospital at the beginning of the pandemic, and that, just knowing, that somebody was out there, for them, not, I think we each take it personally. It's like I know they're out there for everyone, but I feel this connection that you are out there for me, right? As selfish as that may sound, but she felt comfort and felt that what they were doing, and it's and it to a lesser degree, it's still happening, that because you go out to the hospital on Mondays, excuse me, that they feel as if they're loved, right? That they're appreciated, that what they're doing is no matter what the negative people say, that what they're doing is important, and that we need them.
Yeah. And that will continue on well after the pandemic, and that's what we continue to do. We're going to continue to do is bring that comfort, that healing, that love, and even to we still get those, and I love those those feedbacks of the comfort and the joy that is brought into the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get the negatives, right? The mandates and all that, what about the nurses that lost their jobs? Well, I'm still drumming and I'm still praying for them, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, there's always somebody trying to separate it, and we don't want that separation, especially within our healing circle. It's not about us, and it's about everybody, right? It's about the people in the hospital. It's about us outside. It's about, the people that did lose their jobs. It's a reality, and I, I have compassion for that, but everybody has made choices, and there's results to those choices, right? But I'm not going to separate that. I'm going to say I'm drumming for them too. I have friends that were very devastated by it, and I love them, and I supported them to the best of my ability. And like we said before, I can't be everywhere, but what I can be is at the hospital on a Monday night, and I can be there to drum, and I can be there to give what's been given to me, and to share it freely, right, with everybody.
With everybody. Yeah, and I think the wonderful thing is that you're not going to let it, and the people around you are not going to let others politicize, something that's meant to heal.
Yeah.
Right, and meant to bridge those gaps. Right.
There's one thing in the world that's everywhere. That's hospitals. Right.
Yeah.
And if we can, I know we're here in Prince George, and we're in the north, and we want that to spread everywhere. That good medicine, right, and that healing, and the power of prayer that comes from that drum beat, that comes from our hearts, that comes from our singing, that comes from the unity that stands outside or anywhere, just stands together. When you're together, when we're together, it's better. It's a better way of life, a good way of life.
This episode of Culture Confluence was recorded at the Arch North Podcast Studio in Prince George, British Columbia, in cooperation with CFA Radio and Studio 2880. Special thanks to my wonderful guest, Wesley Mitchell, who is a shining example of how we can all live and work and play together.